Test. Good evening from South Africa for episode 28 already of Velospitty Speed Talk. Our episode is entitled Okay Teenwolf, and that is because we have the essential Teenwolf, Kai de Wolf, with us, Kai de Wolf from the Netherlands. Kai, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
No problem. Thanks.
All right. And before we get cracking, we had a bit of a false start. The start gate jumped up in front of us because of an audio problem. Before we get cracking with our show, just some news about the racing this weekend. There's a British Championship motocross going on. And then also the FIM CEV Repsol and the Walker's European Talent Cup road racing at Jerez in Spain. A very sad event in some respects because it's the first event since we lost young Hugo Milan, and our thoughts are with all the riders and family at this time, which we think will be a trying time. But anyhow, back to this evening. Kai, thank you very much. It's been some time in coming, this interview, because we scheduled it for last year, actually, when you were going to have a wild card at Lommel. And then, of course, gravity happened, so we'll get back to the wild card story. So tell us the story. Let's begin at the beginning. That's the best place. How did you start and how did you get into racing?
It all started when I was around 2.5 years. My dad wanted to buy a quad for him, so for himself. So then, there was also a little Suzuki quad, and he couldn't find a nice one for himself. So then he bought one for me, and that's how it all started. So I think I rode for like 1 year with that, and then my dad came home from work and he said, if you can ride a bicycle, then you get a motorbike. So I just took the bicycle and start riding it. So that all went pretty fast, actually, to be honest.
All right, then the luck of the draw was good for you because you live in Eersel, which is, from there you have Reusel, you have Lommel, you have Veldhoven, you have some of the world's top tracks. You can get there with a bicycle. So how did this help you in your development?
To be honest, I think it really helped because like every track is just around 20 minutes. So I think I have like 10 tracks. So that really helps, and it's easy to practice when tracks are quite close.
All right. Now, I read a bit about your history. You're not from a racing family. This was something new to your family. How did you how did the family take to the racing and get involved? And how soon did you realize that some really, really good results were coming?
I think it all started just when I was young. We went with the whole family to the track, to the races. Yeah, just enjoyed it. Like it was just a weekend out for us. So yeah, it was really nice. And then when I was riding 65, I just started to win races, get some titles, got 65 Dutch champion, then 85 big wheels champion. Yeah, then Dutch Master champion a few times. So yeah, it all went really fast actually. I started when I was 4 years old, so now in 12 years I'm already riding MX2. So that's yeah, a big step.
That it's a huge step indeed. I mean, you 16 years old and you're a veteran already in motocross. I mean, you had a great career in the smaller classes. I think you had a second place finish in the Junior World Championships. So what were the highlights of your junior career, would you say?
Yeah, when I was like little, I just had a 50cc title, 65cc, then 2 times Dutch champion, 2 times Dutch Master champion. And then in 2018 also had second in the European Championship and second with the Junior World. So yeah, that has been the highlight so far.
Yeah, sorry, I muted myself. Those are proper highlights. Second in the Junior Worlds and Dutch titles. People who've spent time in Holland or in Europe at all will know that there's no bigger specialists than the Dutch riders in their own sand. Then the big decision came. You did a year of EMX 125. And then the big decision came when you were still young, 15 years old. The decision came to take you to EMX 250. How did this come about?
I was actually just joking around with Rasmus at one point. I said like, oh, let me try the 250 because like I like a lot of power. So yeah, I just jumped on the 250 for a bit, just rode a little bit on Jet's bike. And then I said like, oh, can we not race EMX next year, 250s? And then he was like, no, we stay 1 year more in the 125. And I was like, oh, come on, let's just give it a go. And then we start practicing on the 250 after the season in 2019. And yeah, it went pretty good. Just had a good feeling on that bike. So then we decided to go up to the EMX 250. And yeah, had a good season in the EMX.
Well, you mentioned Rasmus. That's Rasmus Jorgensen, of course. Now, I must tell you a bit of history that you maybe don't know. I know Rasmus a long time, and I actually interviewed him at Lommel when he got a wild card for a GP when he was 16, also 16 or 17 years old. His first GP. Xavier Boek was injured and Rasmus was injured at the beginning of the year. He dislocated his shoulder, I think, at Frankenbach, the annual winter race in Germany. That's the season opener. It's something like Hawkstone, but in Germany. And his season wasn't going anywhere. And then he got a wild card for the GP, and he finished sixth for that GP, his debut GP. So I don't know if he ever told you that campfire story, you know?
Yeah, he told me in Russia. I can't remember what place I finished in Russia, but yeah, then he told me that yeah, he finished sixth in his first debut race. So yeah, he was happy with that he was in front of me with his debut result.
Yeah, because I mean, your first GP in Russia, you kicked off with the top 10. We actually getting ahead of ourselves now, but you kicked off with the top 10, which is a great start for a GP career. And you know, and also, but then unfortunately the second moto didn't go your way. But we'll get to the GP season. And then now you're going to MX250. There was a lot of critics. You know, it happens online. You know, everybody is a super motocross racer and a super team manager. And you had a lot of criticism because of that. But you silenced them. You know, I think you finished fourth in the championships, and you had a second place in Latvia. So how do you look back on that season?
Yeah, for sure. We got a lot of people who weren't sure that I could make that step. So like also over the winter, there have been people coming up to me and they said like, I don't know why you're doing this. This is not a smart decision. But yeah, I was ready to prove them that they were wrong. So yeah, then I had a pretty good season actually. I started off in Velospitty, getting sixth in the first moto, if I'm good. Then the second moto, I led the whole moto from like first lap till last lap. But with 2 corners to go, I didn't see the yellow flag on the step down, or with 1 turn to go. I didn't see the yellow flags on the takeoff and medical flag, which ended out that I got a 10th place penalty. But yeah, unfortunately, I missed the podium. So otherwise, I would have a podium in my debut race in the EMX 250. And yeah, for the rest of the season, I had some up and downs. But yeah, then in Latvia, I should win the round. But then another rider got penalized on noise control. So yeah, that cost me after the podium ceremony. Actually, they told me that I lost my first place. So yeah, that was a sad moment, but we just went on and kept working harder.
Yeah, it's funny how things that happen that's outside of your control can actually influence you. And then you missed the last round because you put yourself down hard. I think you moved the earth a little bit off its axis with a crash. I know Kai Hennekens was telling me, and by the way, I know Kai before you were born, actually. So we go back a long way. And then you missed the wild card because you had a wild card for Lommel. And I know it must have been a huge disappointment for you. How did this motivate you to come into this season strongly?
Yeah, it started off when I made that crash. Someone cross jumped me, and then yeah, I went down pretty hard. I knocked myself out already when I was laying there when I jumped on the other guy, and unfortunately another rider even jumped on my head. So yeah, I broke my nose on 4 places and got a big concussion. So yeah, that also wasn't good for the championship in the EMX round. So yeah, I was still there to watch the second moto because I actually wanted to race the second moto, but yeah, it wasn't allowed because I had a concussion. So yeah, I was watching it and I just saw 3rd place slipping out of my hands, the bronze medal. So yeah, finished 4th in that season. But then normally the weekend after, no, on the Sunday, I would race MX2 and also the 3 rounds after that in Arco. But yeah, because of a broken nose and a concussion, I couldn't race it. But yeah, it was shit. But we just, I think it's also good from the other side. Like we had a long winter to work on it and to work on everything. So yeah, it worked out pretty well.
Right, and of course your GP debut from race 1 to 4 was super sensational. And I think before we go any further, we've got a special guest watching from Cape Town. And yesterday or so, I sent your mom a song, and she wondered, what is this now? And I think now I'll show you why I sent your mom this song. So if you'll get out your popcorn and just join us for a few minutes and you watch yourself from a few years back and this year. Just check this out.
Kai DeWolf, 14, prodigy.
Get in here.
It's
And then tell us who you are, how old you are, and
yeah, my name is Grand Prix. I'm 14 years old and I live in Eersel, close to Lommel, and yeah, we're doing some laps out there and enjoy it.
showing these boys the fast way around the track.
Oh, they're still faster, but I try to get closer and closer.
Hi guys, my name is Jackstone. I'm a singer-songwriter from South Africa, and I'd just like to give a big shout out to the one and only from Holland, Kai DeWolf. This guy is rocking it on the circuit with his GP races. At the age of 16, I'd like to say well done, buddy. Keep on rocking.
They say it's a lot like sleeping. Life is a state of self-infliction. They say you can do anything you wanna do. Dreams are a means to a future led by you. Hold back the fire, wait for the rapture, shake the desire, save it for after. Hold back the fire, pray for a rapture, save it for the heart. Moments lost and a life less guaranteed. Wasted chances on things we didn't need. Making plans for a life we might not lead. There'll be crushing dreams that are waiting just to breathe. Please save my heart from bleeding. You said there's a future waiting. Said you believed in the things I'm doing. Wallowing here in the hopes of things to come. Wish you were here just to say keep going on. Hold back the fire, wait for the rapture, shake the desire, save it for after. Hold back the fire, pray for a rapture, save it for the heart. Moments lost in a lifeless guarantee. Wasted chances on things we didn't need. Making plans for a life we might not lead. While the crushing dreams that are waiting just to breathe. Please save my heart from bleeding. Waiting on the rapture to come. Please save my heart from bleeding. Waiting on the rapture to come. Please save my heart from bleeding.
Right, Guy, that was Jack Stone and your own music video. What do you think of that?
Looks pretty sick. Yeah, I want to give him a big shout out and thank him for this.
Right. Now, coming into the season, you now have a big step. You in the World Championships. What did you expect of the season coming into it?
The goal for this season is top 15. So yeah, and just also a goal for myself was getting a few podiums and yeah, hopefully some race wins and maybe an overall win. And a few of them already happened. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. Like I think we 8 or 9 rounds in. So yeah, it's going pretty good so far. And yeah, we're now on 8 in the championship. So yeah, it's pretty good to be honest.
Gotcha. You hit the ground running with the season, and like you say, you hit your goals pretty early because 4 rounds in front of your home crowd, you had your first podium, and I know it was a massive day for you. So just take us through the day. How were your feelings?
Yeah, just in the morning I got a pretty good lap actually already in warm up. I made a big mistake like halfway around the track. So yeah, I did that whole section slow because I was just like focusing on the sections. And then I came into pit lane to change my rear wheel for the time practice. Then I saw on the timing board, I saw that I was like P3 or P4 at that point, but only like 2 tenths off. So I was like, oh, okay, this can be good for time practice. If I just put the whole lap together, then I can do a solid lap. So yeah, then I put a really good lap in that time practice. The first lap wasn't actually that good. Then halfway through the session, I went even faster. So yeah, I had a big gap in that time practice. Then the first moto didn't had a good start. Then had a big crash when I was coming through back with Nestaan. So I had to pick myself up from P12. And then in the last 3 laps, I just still passed like 3 or 4 riders and ended up in 5th. So yeah, that still got the hopes for the podium. And then in that second moto, I had a really good start. I was behind Thiago. With exactly a lap, I passed him. Then I made a little crash, just lost the front. Yeah, then just jumped back on and went after Iago. And then I wanted to make a pass in the last 2 laps, but unfortunately I made a small mistake, which he got a big gap in that last lap. So yeah, I couldn't make it anymore. But still, in my 5th round or 4th round in the championship, getting a podium, 3rd overall, together with my teammate was an amazing day.
Yeah, it was massive, and it's at Os. It's not very far from where you are. It's home crowd, and leading up to the GP, I know Arno van der Brink worked really hard on this GP, but the new COVID regulations were announced just that weekend before, so it wasn't sure if the crowd would come. So I think it was a massive tension release for everybody that you could be there and have that result. Now, you mentioned Jago Geerts, and not long after that, a few rounds later, you got to his home soil in Lommel, and now you claimed a GP moto win. So how was that day for you, and what are your memories of that?
Yeah, that day was pretty good. In the time practice, my first lap, I had a big crash with another rider. Yeah, hurt my thumb a little bit, but in the end of the day, it wasn't really a big problem for me, which I got the second moto win. So then in that first moto, I didn't have a good start. Had to come from fast. So yeah, then in the first few laps, I was too hungry to get up to the front. So yeah, made some small mistakes, which cost me a lot of energy. But yeah, then I just went into 3rd, like halfway, I think. So yeah, that was pretty good. I went into 3rd, and then I wanted to make close the gap for second, but I couldn't make it anymore because we had a really strong pace in that first moto. Then the second moto I had a really good start, took the whole shot, and just left from there on lead the race. So yeah, that was an amazing second moto. I had a good flow. Yeah, and when you're in the flow, you can do almost whatever you want. You don't really get that tired, and yeah, you can just keep pushing when you're in your own rhythm and in your own flow, and especially in the sand for me.
Yeah, and of course the start is so important in the sand. Now, we showed you in your video, you were there with Zach Osborne and Anderson for the Motocross of Nations in 2019, and you were almost like the little mascot of the team because of both of them being on Husqvaran. But now it's a different story. I don't know that they would want to line up against you in Lommel anymore. You know, it's a different story. And by the way, the South African rugby trainer saw how tall you are, and he said, we can give you a contract to come and play in the team if the motocross doesn't work out for you, you know. So now you talked. Oh, by the way, before I interrupt myself, I saw that you have a great way of getting your champagne bottle going. Was this something you practiced before, or how did that little trick come about?
No, it actually all happened in Oz. We were on the podium, and then Jet was like, "Oh, should we do the Lando?" So yeah, I was like, "Oh, just let's try it," and yeah, it worked out pretty good. So from there on, I just wanted to try this trick, and it's quite fun, something different than just spraying it.
Yeah, it's different, and you have to have good pressure, nice control, so that the bottle doesn't break. You know, like the ladies that hit the ships with a champagne bottle, they don't want to sink the ship first thing. You know, so yeah, it was pretty good. Now, you've spoken about your team, and we've covered quite a bit of the footage of the setup in Lommel of the team. And how is the feeling with you and Kai and Rasmus and Jed Beaton? How's the feeling within the team?
Yeah, it's an amazing team. Yeah, I'm really on my place, and yeah, I really like it in this team. I can work really good with Kai and Rasmus, and also with my mechanics. So yeah, I feel really comfortable in this team.
Yeah, you know, when I had a GP team before, long before you were born, I think the Dead Sea wasn't even ill yet when I had my team, and the whole thing that we went for was good spirit and good atmosphere within the team, because that helps the riders. And one of my riders was Tyler Rattray, and at Genk, he did something exactly what you did. He had a second in the GP. So he was one of the very young podium finishers. And I think you have somebody like Roxon, you have Jeffrey Hellings and Dave Strabos, perhaps from your own country. But you're in very elite company, somebody that has a GP podium so very young. And how does that make you feel confidence-wise for coming into the future?
Yeah, it's still a long way for the future, but yeah, it's some weight off your shoulders, and yeah, for sure it helps. But yeah, we're still working hard every day and getting the best out of it.
Yeah, and that's great. Now, I've spoken about Dutch riders. Now, Holland is experiencing a good period with its riders. You have yourself, then you have 1 to 5 riders like Scott Smulders, Kai Kasemakers, Ivano van Erp. Then big news in the 85, Lotte van Drunen, Gian Dunsen. You have Dex van der Broek, who had a good finish in the Junior World Championship. In the 50 cc's, you have a guy like Janeiro Berens. You know, and I can't even mention everybody, but it seems like a strong period for Holland internationally. Why would you say that is?
Yeah, for sure. yeah, already for a long time we have a strong field in Holland. Yeah, then we had Jeffrey. So like already like back in the days before I was born, we had like John van den Berg, Dave Strybos. So yeah, we always have had a lot of good riders in Holland. So yeah, I really cannot wait to see the younger generation growing up, and hopefully they can also show up in the GPs.
Are you following the results of some of the, well, I mean, how dare I call you not a young rider, but let's say the younger riders than you? Are you following some of that?
Yeah, for sure. Like a few of them I have on Instagram, and actually like 2.5 years ago, I was still like racing with them. I was still on the 85, so I've seen them every weekend. So yeah, for sure, I still see the results, and yeah, Holland is on a good way.
Yeah, I mean, last weekend, Lotte van Drienen became the first girl ever to claim a pole at an ADAC race, and she had a podium at an ADAC race. Now, you will know, and everybody that's ridden ADAC will know, that's serious competition, you know, so that's a brilliant result. Now, speaking of Holland, I know the Dutch team's been announced for the Motocross of Nations, but Ruan van der Moosdijk is still injured, and I think you are the reserve rider. What would your feelings be to ride for the Dutch team, who just very recently won the Motocross of Nations in Assen, of course?
Yeah, for sure. Team Holland is the last winner from the Motocross of Nations, so yeah, for sure, it would be amazing if I could race there. Yeah, we have to see how Rowan is feeling with his arm, and yeah, also wish him a speedy recovery, and hopefully he can race that. But also, yeah, I want to have the chance to race it, and hopefully make some good results with Team Holland.
Yeah, I mean, you'll have your chance for sure, and you'll have plenty of chances. Now, just an interesting fact, one of the riders that rode for me in my team is Tanel Leok, and he's got a record that I don't think anybody will ever match. He rode his first Motocross of Nations for Estonia when he was 15, and if last year wasn't cancelled, I think he would have ridden his 20th Motocross of Nations. So this is incredible. And another interesting fact about Tanel is at one of the ADACs early in the year, he scored points in the Masters class, and both his sons scored points in the Junior Cup 85. So I don't know that it's ever happened that a father and his two sons scored points at an international event, but that's just beside the point. Now, your results or your performances this year are completely exceptional. That they are truly exceptional. And this year, I don't know if you follow road racing, but the road racing world is completely alive with a guy by the name of Pedro Acosta. Now, this kid is your age, and he's leading the World Championship by more points than I have money in my wallet. You know, he's leading it by far. He won a race. He won a GP race. One race he had to start from the pit lane, and he won the race from the pit lane. So I don't know if you follow road racing and if you've seen the progress of a guy like Pedro Acosta.
No, not really. No,
all right, because I'll send you some of the stuff of Pedro Acosta, and that race that he won from the podium is truly, but I mean truly sensational, because it shows his progress. I mean, they release the pit lane when the first riders are already at the first corner, and it's not motocross. You know, road racing, the times are very close together. In fact, in the free training today for the FIMCV Repsol, which is the Junior Moto3 World Championships, the top 30 riders were within 1.6 seconds in time practice. So you can imagine how difficult it is to make up time like that. But in any case, that's beside the point. I'll send you some of that to enlighten you. Now just to get to Kai, the young man. how do you spend your time? What do you do for your free time when I know training and riding takes up a lot, but how do you spend the rest of your time?
Yeah, when I have free time, I'm yeah, most of the time just at home or swimming here at home, just chilling, or I would go to the pump track, do some laps there, and have some more sick jumps up there.
I saw you quite cool on the bicycle. I mean, that downhill wheelie that you did that we saw in the video was awesome. You know, that's there's some skills there, definitely. Now, growing up, I mean, you're still growing up, I mean, age-wise. I know in one of your interviews you said that Jeffrey is a great example to you. Would that be it, or were there other riders that you saw as big examples?
Yeah, for sure. Jeffrey was one of my big inspirations, and then also Kenny for sure, Ken Roxon. So yeah, they were two yeah, really legends for me, and yes, they still, like, if you see Kenny dominating in the US as a German rider, is yeah, something which is really special. And then Jeffrey, yeah, winning GPC in Holland and in Europe, and yeah. So those two are my big idols, yeah.
Right now, I'll show you at some stage. I'll send you a link where at an ADAC race I interviewed, because I interviewed Ken Roxon when he was, I don't know, 10, 11 years old or whatever. And there was an interview that I did at an ADAC race with Jeffrey, Ken Roxon, and Matas Caro, all three of them junior world champions. So that's an interesting bit of history for you. But anyway, it's Friday evening. You want to get going with your weekend. So I want to thank you for joining us. I know your win not your win, but your podium in Oz was super emotional for you. And you said that your parents did such a lot for you. What are the shout outs that you want to do for people that have brought you this far?
Yeah, just like have fun with riding your bike, and also respect your family. Like they're just there for you day and night. So yeah, just have fun and do your best.
Right. And people that have helped you along the way, who do you remember the most? Or who do you remember of people that have helped you and assisted you to get where you are? I mean, it's impossible to mention everybody, because sometimes somebody gives 30 or 50 euro and it means a lot at the time. But what stands out in your mind?
Yeah, for sure, my parents. And then when I was like riding 85, Han van der Noot from Hanemax, he supported me, and then yeah, then I went to a team which called Burstphone at that time. So yeah, also John Bayer, I want to thank him for helping out. And then yeah, then I got in this team. So yeah, I really also want to thank my team, and they're always there for me whenever I want. And yeah, also my mechanic, Kumu, my practice mechanic, and then my race mechanic, Jeremy. He's always doing his best on the GPs. And then for sure our physical trainer, Jens, Hendricks, and Rasmus, our team manager and trainer. And then for sure the team owner, Kai Hennekes.
Yeah, of course. Many of the people that you mentioned, I know. I had close workings with John Bayer. In fact, he's the guy that sponsors Lotte van Drunen at the moment, and Rasmus and Kai, of course, I know a long time. But in any case, it's been wonderful to finally get you. Thank you. I appreciate that. That video that I made for you will be on our YouTube, and I will post it on Instagram and on the Youth Force Racing page. Thank you for joining us. I've had a lot of requests online while we were talking to show that video again, so I'll do that. And before we do that, I just want to say thank you very much, Kai, and to all our viewers. Thank you very much. Next week, we've got something very special coming up with an Hungarian avalanche of talent. But look out on the Youth Force Racing group for some information about that. So, Kai, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Kai de Wolf, 14, prodigy.
Get
but
in here.
It's
And then tell us who you are, how old you are, and
Yeah, my name is Kai de Wolf. I'm 14 years old and I live in Eersel, close to Lommel, and yeah, we're doing some laps out here and enjoy it.
showing these boys the fast way around the track.
Oh, they're still faster, but I try to get closer and closer.
Hi guys, my name is Jack Stone. I'm a singer-songwriter from South Africa, and I'd just like to give a big shout out to the one and only from Holland, Kai de Wolf. This guy is rocking it on the circuit with his GP races. At the age of 16, I'd like to say, well done, buddy. Keep on rocking.
They say it's a lot like sleeping. Life is a state of self-infliction. They say you can do anything you wanna do. Dreams are a means to a future led by you. Hold back the fire, wait for the rapture, shake the desire, save it for after. Hold back the fire, pray for a rapture, save it for the heart. Moments lost and a life less guaranteed. Wasted chances on things we didn't need. Making plans for a life we might not lead. There'll be crushing dreams that are waiting just to breathe. Please save my heart from bleeding. You said there's a future waiting. Said you